So, in a stunning MotoGP silly season as well, the announcement that came after the Italian Grand Prix on Sunday, we learned that Jorge Martín would leave Pramac Ducati at the end of the 2024 season. Now, most people anticipated that a move to the Ducati factory team would be in the cards, but after rumours about Marc Márquez being the favourite to land the seat emerged, Aprilia confirmed they've signed Martín to ride for their factory team instead. We'll address the other huge news regarding Marc Márquez in a little bit, but Jorge Martín replaces the retiring Aleix Espargaro at Aprilia Racing, who made his announcement at Barcelona a few weeks ago. Aprilia's Massimo Rivola said that Martín is on a path of unstoppable growth and called him a building block to reach the goal they are looking for with great hunger at Aprilia. Based on Rivola's comments in the press release, it seems that this deal came together very quickly, as he said, without wasting any time. We made the decision. The photo courtesy there of Aprilia Racing. Matt, how surprised were you when you heard that Jorge Martín will be an Aprilia rider in 2025 instead of becoming a Ducati factory rider?
Hello, Josh. Good evening, everybody. Yes, this came from, the farthest of left fields, I suppose, coming out of the Mugello weekend for the Italian Grand Prix on Sunday, and there was a test on Monday as well, where the riders, a lot of it was rained out, so there wasn't much going on. So no real news to bring you from the test, and then this all happened on Friday. The timeline of this is short and goes kind of as follows. On Sunday night after the Grand Prix, Jorge Martín left the Mugello circuit and took a trip to the Aprilia factory, which is not too far away. On Monday afternoon, around 5 o'clock or so, the social media video that was posted was filmed. And then because the test had finished and lots of teams had already packed up, Aprilia didn't have a printer. So they had to scramble to get a printer. This is all true, by the way. They had to scramble to get a printer to print the contract for Jorge Martín to sign at 5:40 Italian local time on Monday evening. At 5:46, Aprilia Racing on all social media posted, "We've got some news coming in 15 minutes." And at 6:02, the bombshell was dropped. That's how fast this happened. It was like that, instant. After the Grand Prix, as far as putting bits and pieces together, I found out from the last couple of days, Jorge was told that, yes, they were going to sign Márquez. And he's obviously gone, I tell you what, I've hung around here for 2 years trying to get this gig. You're clearly not going to give it to me. I'll go to your nearest competitor, literally. The garage is next door and the other team that's based in Italy. And he's going to be joining up with Maverick Viñales, who also had no idea that this was going to happen and found out on social media on Monday after he took his helmet off from riding in the test. So this has absolutely bowled everybody for 6. We expected, as you say, Josh, either Jorge to get the promotion up to the big team to ride alongside Pecco Bagnaia, Grand Prix winner from Sunday, or stay where he was with Pramac if they were going to stay with Ducati, which is another thing that is rumbling around in the background, and get similar conditions to what he has had here, with Márquez leapfrogging him into the big team. Well, that's happened, but Jorge has now stepped aside and moved to Aprilia, which I guess was probably the only place he could go to, really, because we had the confirmation on Thursday or Friday that Pedro Acosta was going to step up to the big KTM team next year to ride alongside Brad Binder. So that was another door closed. Yeah, had enough, I think, the Spaniard, and decided that he was going to just toddle off across the paddock and speak to Massimo Rivola, who, of course, Jorge Martín, big friends with Aleix Espargaro, like really big friends. And I'm sure Aleix had some dealings in this going around the paddock on Monday as well.
Literally opened the door for him as well, which I love.
Yeah, exactly, in the video. Yeah, here's our new rider. It's my good friend Jorge Martín.
Adam says as well, I think Jorge Martín and Marc Márquez will be MotoGP Championship contenders in 2025. I think we're in for a very good year. But Astro says, finally made it to one. Good evening, grid team. Good evening, Astro. Good evening. And I think it all sort of kicked off on Thursday, didn't it, in the press conference? Because we
Yeah.
had that rumor, didn't we, that the journalist asked Marc Marquez, well, where are you going? Would Pramac be an option for you? Because it was all kicked up, wasn't it, over the last few Grand Prix? We've all been saying, especially in the commentaries, oh, it's going to be Bagnaia in the main team, but the fight's on. Bastianini's got to prove he can keep his seat. Martin wants it, and Marc Marquez wants it. This all came up about the French Grand Prix, and then they finished Martin, Marquez, Bagnaia, and then at the Catalan Grand Prix, we had that fight again with Marc finishing second as well, and Bagnaia taking the main Grand Prix win. But it got to the fight where we got to Italy, and on Thursday, the media asked, well, would Prima Pramac be an option for you, which has a factory bike for 2025, whereas Martin going up to the main team? Marquez then says, no, Prima Pramac is not an option for me. And what I was hearing was, it was not only a done deal, it was offered to Jorge Martin. On Wednesday, he was a handshake and agreement, you're going to be in the main team alongside Bagnaia for next year. Marc got wind of this on Thursday, went to the press conference, got asked this question and said, well, I'm not riding for Prima Pramac because that one was offered for him. He was offered a factory bike, but with the Pramac team to replace Martin. He said, no, it's factory or I'll go to another factory. Because for those of you who don't know, in MotoGP, a rule was introduced after Valentino Rossi did this in the early 2000s. You can no longer go from one factory bike to another factory bike directly if you break your contract. Now, you might remember Jorge Lorenzo moved directly from Yamaha to Honda a couple of years ago at the end of 17 to 18. That was because he was out of contract. If you break your contract with a factory, you're not allowed to go ride for another factory for another year because you carry secrets on with them. So you have to go to like a satellite team or an independent team. That's what Marc's done. He broke his contract with Honda. He's gone to Cassini for a year, and then he wanted the main team. He was told he wouldn't get that main team, kicked up a fuss. Ducati panicked. Friday, I think, what was it, Saturday night, you got the main gig, Marc. You're in. Sunday morning, as you say, Martin gets told, sorry, you're not going to be there. You're stuck where you are. And as you said, Matt, he's gone over without anybody else's knowledge to Aprilia and gone, right, I'm racing for you next year. And nobody knew this was happening. I was speaking to Simon Patterson, who said at the test, no, all the people I usually ask about this don't know a thing. Autosport got the jump on everybody with this, but nobody knew this was happening. It's one of the biggest shocks we've had in a couple of years. And I think it's great news. And as a follow-up, I want to ask you, will Martin still be a championship contender on that Aprilia bike next year? Or do you view this as kind of a step down, given how good those Ducati bikes are?
Well, it is a slight step down. We've been jokingly calling it the Ducati Cup for the last 18 months in MotoGP because there's only been the odd Aprilia result. Of course, Vinales won at Circuit of the Americas a couple of months ago, and last year we had a couple of wins for Binder and Espargaro at Barcelona. So it's a step down, but can he now he's got the chance to go in there and mold the team around him, and he can be the main focus, which of course he isn't at Ducati. He may have the factory kit, the big top spec stuff, same as Bagnaia, but he's not in the main team, and that's where he wants to be. And now he's got that chance. Watch now, and we've got 3 weeks off until Assen, because we should have had the Kazakhstan Grand Prix on Le Mans weekend, and it's got moved. So we've got a couple of weeks now before anything else happens in terms of on track. It'll be interesting to see how much, if any, new stuff coming to the 2024 Ducati bikes, which Bagnaia and Bastianini, of course, have got in the main team, and Martin has got. How much more stuff Martin will get now, or is that going to be chopped, gone? This is what you've got for the rest of the season. Deal with it. I think it's probably going to be that, because he's walked out in such a way and given them the finger on the way out. He's probably going to get stuck with this. And we've seen through, 7 races this season, how much Marc Marquez on last year's bike has been so much stronger than all the other GP24, 23, sorry. Franco Morbidelli's been getting there. He's had the last couple of races, he's been doing much better as Martin's teammate, but on a different spec of bike, same as Marquez in Gresini. So can see how much more Marquez is ahead. We're going to talk about Marc in a second, but he's going to make a big jump next year when he gets onto the big red bike.
I can't wait. It's going to be one of the best championships we've had in a very long time. And you said as well, the one big thing here that I mentioned it is because you're not allowed to swap from factory to factory, but that only applies as factory team to factory team. The unique thing that you said about with Prima Pramac is the fact that they have only for Martin, he has the 2024 bike, the most up-to-date bike. So he's going to be taking all the Ducati 24 secrets from the latest spec up to Aprilia for next year's bike, which is a big blow to Ducati. It's a big no-no in the world. So that little loophole I expect to be closed in the regulations quite quickly, because it's left the door open now for all of Ducati's secrets to be let out the bag. But another thing is we're expecting the Prima Pramacs to leave Ducati and link up with Yamaha as the second source of bikes in the coming years. Now, whether that's going to happen at the end of 24 and start of 25, and that's the catalyst why Martin's gone, right, I'm definitely not staying here then. And that's why Marc Marquez probably didn't want to have that. But certainly, the rumor going around is that Prima Pramac are going to leave Ducati bikes and go sign up with Yamahas in a similar deal to what we've seen the Petronas bikes and the Tech 3s have in years gone by. So that is going to be a story to follow, of course, over the next couple of weeks. Today's story, however, was confirming everything we've just said, because we got confirmation this morning that Marc Marquez is getting promoted to the Ducati factory team for at least the 2025 and 2026 seasons. That's before the regulation change as well in 27. He'll form a powerful lineup alongside fellow multi-time MotoGP world champion Pecco Bagnaia in the Ducati Lenovo team colours. Now, while Marquez is stepping up to the factory team, this means he will replace Enea Bastianini. Now, this story, as we've been saying, was first reported by Autosport, a major silly season news day for MotoGP, with Marquez taking the seat. Many believe that Jorge Martin had his name on it, and now Ducati have, as we said, lost Martin to Aprilia, the graphic courtesy of Ducati. So where do you think, first of all, what do you think happened with all that with Bastianini as well? Because he was told to ride or die, got great results in Italy. And what do you think of the Bagnaia and Marquez on the Ducati factory team together? And was it the right move to choose Marquez over Martin, given how Marc's highs and lows have been over the past couple of years?
Well, Marc always said he had a plan. And as you kind of documented with the going from factory to factory stuff, it's worked out just absolutely perfectly for Marc. And as I said in our own grid chat this morning, as soon as this was announced, cue the fireworks, because there is going to be, as they call them in Spain, tracas absolutely everywhere next season, when it's going to be back to the days of Rossi and Lorenzo on the 2 Fiat Yamahas. Although they had a tyre war, this time we're going to have a energy drink war, because, of course, Marc is Red Bull and Bagnaia is Monster. That's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
That's going to be fun.
Absolute subplot that no one's probably talking about, but I thought of it this morning when I saw the mock-up of Marc in the levers with the Monster Energy logo on his shoulders. That just looks wrong. But if the last, 3 years or anything to go by, Ducati are going to have the best bike. These two are the factory riders, and they are going to smash everybody and then smash into each other probably down the line. We saw in Jerez, though, didn't we? A month or so back at the Spanish Grand Prix, Marc came late in the race to battle with Bagnaia at the end, and Bagnaia he said, "No, you don't. No, sunshine. I am winning this Grand Prix." That was a precursor to this. Bagnaia will not roll over. He's going to be rubbing his hands together with the thought of, he's got probably the best we've ever seen, perhaps, that's arguable, but of the modern era now coming into his team and on his bike with his mechanics is going to be just absolutely fantastic, as you say. We've got so much to go this season, but looking forward to next season, really, really good. I'm going to burn a quick hot when we get to Hots and Knots later, which was Bastianini's ride on Sunday. Oh, he was brilliant. Yeah. Those two passes on Marquez, and then Jorge Martin in the last corner to get second for a Ducati 1-2 in the Italian Grand Prix. Superb. and then by Monday afternoon he's getting the elbow, and he's been sacked. Well, not re-signed, let's say, rather than sacked. His manager Carlo Panat was on Italian radio yesterday morning and has suggested that he has signed Bastianini to go to Tech 3 KTM, which is the gas team, which will replace Pedro Acosta, who's moved, as I mentioned earlier, is moving up to KTM. So not confirmed, but if his manager's saying it's happening, then you put some money on it that Bastianini will be with Tech 3. And the guy that I can't remember his name now off the top of my head, it's gone. But when Bastianini was with Gresini a couple of years ago, his crew chief is now one of the main guys at Tech 3, running general manager or something. So he's got an in there with the guy that was his crew chief at Gresini a couple of years ago. So all lines up nicely for Bastianini. It'd be a shame to see him out of the championship if it was going to be, because of course he had that terrible luck last year with injury at the start. Then he got back and got hurt again. And then came through to have that nice win at Sepang at the end of the year, which was really nice to see. So, and he's fourth in the championship and not so far behind him in the points. So it's not like he's doing a bad job this season either. So good to see Bastianini continuing, but yeah, the mouth-watering prospect of Marquez versus Bagnaia for the next couple of years is tantalising.
Came to blows, of course, of Portimao earlier on in the season as well.
That too, yeah.
Oh, I tell you what, if you're an Italian right now, and Italians are so mad on motorsport, MotoGP and Formula One alike, you must be rubbing your hands together thinking, what on earth did I do to get everything I dreamed for? Because in 2025, you're going to have Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari alongside Charles Leclerc, and you've got Pecco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez in MotoGP. They have done everything right. The Ducati, of course, like Ferrari, very much it's state-owned as well. Everyone pays into it. That is just going to be amazing. The Italians, you're going to love it. And judging by how bonkers Mugello was.
Stefano Domenicali was at Mugello at the weekend. Liberty have come up trumps again. I know they had absolutely nothing to do with it, of course, but we know Liberty are about to own MotoGP in the coming months. And much like, as you mentioned, with the things going on in Formula One, it's just all coming up Millhouse, to use a Simpsons reference.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I can't wait. I mean, we've only got 6 months to wait until the start of 25, and everything's going to be kicking off in the off-season as well. Don't forget, you can see Marc Marquez on the factory Ducati team at post-season testing in Valencia as well. That's the Tuesday after the final Grand Prix as well.